primary ignition.
Hi, this is author Timothy Zahn. You're listening to Virtual Cantina Network.
Okay, did you get that with Zahn?
Not me.
Who got him? Who got the interview?
I think that was Jeff. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Jeff and Dave.
Because I absolutely am dying to meet him.
Yes, he's on my list for sure too. I've seen him at conventions and I've not met him in person, so it is must.
I was reading his books in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm like, man.
Oh, Spencer did that one, according to Jeff. Yeah. Well, welcome everyone. It's Boys Night once again here on Clone Wars Revisited. Ashley has the night off, so Skip and I are going to be hanging out with you guys tonight. We are making our way through Clone Wars Season 2, and it is getting good. Like, we are at the tail end of the Luminara, Barriss Offee, kerfuffle fiasco, etc. With brain worms.
Fiasco.
It is.
Say that 10 times real fast.
Yeah. It's been a moment over there with those ladies. And now we're actually tilting over to Barriss Offee and Ahsoka, going through essentially a horror movie come to life with these brain slugs. It is so awesome. So I can't wait.
Yeah, this is an interesting storyline. I actually enjoyed this, and which is pretty good because we're still early into the whole Clone Wars series. I mean, it really, really jacks it up. 5, 6, and 7. But this is good. It was funny. Two things. God, Spencer, I really wanted to say this without Spencer hearing it because he will take this and run with it.
Oh boy.
But I'm going into the grocery store now. I have come home and because I got horse piss and all that other stuff all over me as cleaning up the barn and so forth. So I came home and got a shower, got cleaned up. So I'm not wearing my Star Wars gear right now. But I had worn what I refer to as a classic New Hope T-shirt, Star Wars T-shirt, and I'm coming out of the grocery store, and there's this father and this son. And the son's like pointing at me and pointing at my shirt, and I sadly do not recognize them. God, I hope they're not a member of the VCN and watching the show tonight as I embarrass myself.
Happens.
But the father's like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Gives me the fist bump, and I'm like, "Yeah, doing good, thanks." And I know that it's a Star Wars thing that they know me, and I can just hear in the back of my head this sound that just plays constantly. That's because you're an internet celebrity, that Spencer wants to throw at me all the time. And I was going, oh my God, if he was here, he'd be internet celebrity, all over me. But then I went into one of these concrete places. I had to buy some stuff for a septic system. Yes, there we go, Spencer, internet celebrity. And this girl's like, "Oh, I like your shirt." I was like, "Oh, thanks." I said, "I've got pretty much one I can wear every day for a month straight." And she goes, "Yeah." And so we get into this conversation, and did not expect this, but get into this conversation about Star Wars. And she's like, "Yeah," she goes, "Okay, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?" And I said, "Really, probably A New Hope, because for me, I'm 56 years old. I was watching this in the movie theater, and I truly understand how A New Hope changed watching movies forever. That the technology, the the special effects are shit we had never seen before. That's why it's so amazing. And I looked at her, and she's probably all of maybe 28 to 33. And I said, your generation, and she goes, yeah, grew up with this. We think it's just normal. And she was just like spot on at it. And then we got talking about Clone Wars. And she goes, yeah, I've watched some of it. I need to binge watch it all. I said, oh yeah. So I was talking about the show, and then I asked her if she had seen. She asked me, have you seen Rogue One? I said, yes. I said, I really like Rogue One. I said, it's kind of like that Titanic of Star Wars. She goes, yeah. And then I asked her, I said, well, have you seen Andor? I said, because a lot of people will tell you that Andor is probably some of the best content out there as far as live action goes on a series type show as compared to a movie. And I said, it's really good. I said, and they've got season 1 and season 2 is all out now. So you can sit there and watch it from the origin story of Cassian to moments before he gets on the spaceship and goes off to do Rogue One. So it's a pretty cool rundown of the whole thing. So it was
a full binge. Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love running into people in the wild, as it were. Especially, if you're wearing a shirt, it's a great way in. Yeah, we've got we have quite a number of things happening in the chat. First of all, yes, internet celebrity right over here. In fact, on Thursday night when I did the watch along for Phineas and Ferb, which is one of my favorite Star Wars spoofs, I was wearing my Ski Pruckle T-shirt. So a reminder for everyone in the chat, if you want to celebrate our own internet celebrity over here, we do have a Ski Pruckle T-shirt on our TeePublic store. As Jeff said, he is all over the internets. Yeah.
Interwebs.
The interwebs. And yes, I wanted to point this out from Sherry. Girls' Night is better. So at some point we need to have all the ladies on. They are a lot more fun. So while it's Boys' Night tonight here on the Clone Wars, we are going to be planning some special episodes in the future. And in fact, we are looking for some guest hosts coming up later this summer based on a combination of vacations, when we're in Texas, and a bunch of other stuff. We're going to need some help hosting. JB and Sarah are going to be coming on for a small arc with us. Sherry, we may need you to help as well. So if anyone would like to maybe try your hand at guest hosting something on the network, even as a one-time gig, Clone Wars Revisited is a pretty easy lift compared to some of the other shows. And you usually have someone, like one of the three of us will be here at least, like me, Skip, and Ashley. I don't think we've done an episode yet where there hasn't been at least one of us in the mix,
Well, mostly because I haven't missed an episode yet.
That's right. You're still batting 1,000. Ashley and I, this is like our part-time gig. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I was like today, I was like, is today the day? It'd be nice just to chill out and do nothing. And I was like, no. And I was like, and it was funny because I was like, I'm going to get home and there's going to be a message from somebody on, well, I don't feel good. And of course, Ashley.
Let me tell you right now, today is supposed to be my day to call out sick. It is the day after Pride. It is a miracle I'm alive. I was so busy this weekend. So I'm repping my Pride shirt, Rebels Pride. It's the final day of June, so the end of Pride month. And also it's 1,000 degrees in New York yet again. The heat wave is for realsies. But it was a fantastic weekend in the city. We had the parade on Sunday, which is an annual thing. It's always the final Sunday in June. And it is always massive and gigantic. And I barely even watch the parade anymore. I go for a little bit. I watch for like less than an hour, and it goes all damn day, which is amazing, right? Like at some point it's like, yes, we can be exhausted and annoyed by how too much it is, but it's incredible that there's that much support and that many people who are like
that many. That there's that many people to participate in the parade.
Exactly.
Going that long.
And people come from out of town. Like, I can't tell you how many people I met who are from out of the city, right? Like Long Island, surrounding boroughs, wherever, elsewhere in the state, coming from upstate, from way out, Westchester, wherever else, and then out of state, and then out of the country. Like, it's a very big international gathering. It is gigantic. And yes, and the Pride Show ad is in the assets, according to Jeff. So, because we did our Pride Show, I was aggressive on Sunday. I went out late Saturday night, woke up early, recorded the show with Ashley and Mike, and we had such a fun time. we talked about the state of LGBTQ representation in Star Wars for about an hour and a half. And the reason the show went for so long is that we actually had stuff to talk about. We had lesbians this year in Andor. And we had moms in the Acolyte, and we almost forgot that we had moms in Skeleton Crew. And there's a lot of queer representation in the books as well that Mike took us through. So for anyone who is interested in tuning into that show, it's up on YouTube now. It went out live on Sunday, and then right after we recorded that, I was off to the parade and out all day and all night. And Saturday, not only was I out all day and all night, I also had my high school reunion, which of all the stupid days to plan it, it was bumped from a year ago. It was my 25 plus one. We had a couple scheduling things that led to it being delayed, but it was really lovely seeing everyone. Just a really weird timing. But it was a busy weekend. So believe me, there was a moment where I was like, and I went into work today. I was like, will I have to take tonight off because I'm so tired? And then I saw your text being like, oh, are you still good for tonight? And it didn't occur to me why you would be asking me that. And then I saw Ashley's message in the Facebook chat. I was like, oh, shit. So I was like, no, I'm good. We'll make it.
I was going, okay, if you're sick for some reason, I'm calling Sherry and getting her ass in for support.
Yeah. Next time. I was nonstop this weekend, and thank you, Sherry. Yes, we had a great time doing the show. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Mike is such an encyclopedia of all things literature, and if you're not already watching the Jedi Archives show that's alternating on Sundays, I do a really bad job keeping up with the books and the comics because there's so much. He will summarize everything for you and let you know what's going on in that corner of the galaxy, which has been fantastic for me because I was missing out a whole slew of things in the ether. And we talked a little bit about mass media happening as well because Jurassic World opens next week, which is super exciting, and Superman's coming up, and there's just a lot going on in the fandom and the geekdom. It's good times.
Yeah, Fantastic Four. When's that come out?
That's in July also. It's really soon.
Yeah, July 11th right on is Superman. Yeah. You got that one.
Yep, God. Megan just came out, Megan 2.0. So that's fun. The Smurfs movie is out.
I've got to watch the first one.
Oh my God, you'll love the first one. All right, I don't want to spoil it for you, but obviously there's a sequel coming. So, the first Megan is, and she's a killer doll. She's a robot, right? So, and F1. No, that's F4.
No, F1. It's F1. Formula One racing.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it's F1. But that's I've looked at that and the filming. I mean, a good race movie is part pull on the story, like you're intrigued by the story, but the other part is filming those cars, and it looked like they did a bang up job of getting. F1 is already out. Well, shit, I need to go to the movies.
I can't keep track anymore unless it's something I have a hand in as a licensee or something I've been planning. I don't give a shit about F1. Yes, Ivana Saklo is in Megan 2.0, which is amazing. So Shin Hati herself is there. I can't tell you anything about F1 other than Brad Pitt is trying to make it his redemption story, and I'm not participating in that noise. I will say I don't really care for car movies all that much. I'm not a gearhead or anything, but as a kid, I loved Days of Thunder. I watched it back recently, and I forgot that it's Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, and that made me want to kill myself because seeing the two of them together, I was like, I can't do this. This is just awful. I'm not into that situation, so that kind of ruined the movie for me. But the racing scenes were cool.
Yeah. They actually do have, but it's funny because you're going back and you're looking at it, and the cars are when they came out, they looked like really, these are. New cars. And now you look back at it and you go, God, those things are old.
Well, it's funny. The Lumina is the model in the movie that's
not anybody. Most people, people in their 20s don't even know what a Lumina is.
Well, here's the thing. My parents owned one. Like my mom and dad drove a Lumina, and by the way, they drove that thing into the ground. That thing had 130,000 miles on it, and like somehow still performed. So while it wasn't a performance vehicle, it was a survivor. Like that thing got 130,000 New York miles. That's a very different mileage than like anywhere else in the world where you have open roads and no potholes. Like New York miles are hard. They're probably at like 1.2 miles. You know what I mean? Like just the damage and wear and tear it does on your car.
Yeah, one of my last trucks had 300,000 miles on it, and so you're telling me 130, and I'm starting to laugh.
Jeebus, no. Well, once you cross triple digits, like roll it into the ocean. Okay, Spencer, do you want to put Eyes Wide Shut on our movies we're thankful for? I'm working on programming for the summer, and then it brought up a lot of things for November, but maybe we'll skip that one and we'll put it on. What is that? VCN After Dark is the other thing we keep talking about. It's a hot mess.
So now, did you just not like Cruise and Kidman together because they're not together, or you just don't think they made, or it was such a forced situation?
I don't like him. That's one, and then two, like now knowing what that relationship was seemingly like, it's just I find it gross. So like
Well, and a lot of his, that's not only his first wife has that story, but his second wife has that same story.
Yeah, it's a recurring pattern, man. So yeah,
it sucks because I really like his movies.
Yeah, I've heard that. Look, this is a great bit of philosophy to discuss right here. How do you separate the art from the artist, and can you separate the art from the artist? That debate is heavily in discussion right now. I would say with Neil Gaiman, because Sandman is around the corner, right? Season 2 comes out in like a matter of weeks, and Ashley is very excited about it. Neil Gaiman has very little to do with this season, but in theory, it's his creation, and his name will always be associated with it. And in theory, there's money and royalties and whatever else to be had from it. So how do you reconcile those things? And then J.K. Rowling is probably, I would say, the poster person for the discussion of separating art from artist, right? Like, can you still like Harry Potter or support the new stream of Harry Potter while disagreeing with her political stances? And I think there's a lot to be said about something like Ender's Game, which is like an amazing book written by a man who is a Nazi. I lose track at this point. Like he's a problem too. So like, can you read that book and understand like that book might be a great work of science fiction while understanding the author is a problem? And how do you go about teaching that? And do you even evaluate that art, or do you ignore it completely? And I don't have the answer.
People can be artists too.
Yeah, exactly. There are plenty of bad people who are artists, and plenty of artists who are bad people. That Venn diagram goes in both directions. And I think it's not. I don't have a clear. I think you have to treat it on a case by case basis. I will probably tune into Sandman season 2 because Neil Gaiman is not really involved, and there are a lot of other people who were involved. They were deep into production when the allegations, and I think the admitted allegations at this point, it's not even allegations, it's like for realsies, this happened. These actions were made public, but the cast and the crew and everyone else involved in the show have nothing to do with that scandal. And so if there's look, it's not getting a season 3. And we're not greenlighting any future Neil Gaiman projects, right? It's sort of my stance on Joss Whedon, right? Like we literally rewatched Firefly on this channel a year ago, and I had to make my disclaimer, which I make on a lot of my shows. And I'm sorry for anyone who's heard this before, but like my Whedon stance is I will rewatch stuff that I've already absorbed the content of if it's in a place that I know I'm not monetizing it. Like I have the Buffy Chosen collection on DVD. I will sometimes rewatch an episode. But I will not support any future projects from him, and I won't monetize anything. Like if they came out with like a Criterion version of Buffy, I would, in a different world, I would have loved that. It would be something that I would absolutely like kill for, especially because the latest box set was bad, But like,
who's doing the remake of Buffy?
So Sarah Michelle Gellar is the executive producer, and she's working with a team of women. And cool. I think Chloe Zhao is involved. Like so it is a heavy hitter.
That because it's totally Whedon free.
Yes, and even though he probably has creator credit, like the rest of the people, right? Like you can't escape that, and the rest of the people are now going to own the narrative, right? So they are reclaiming their time. They are taking ownership of the thing that Sarah Michelle is like best known for, right? Like Sarah Michelle Gellar will always be Buffy, and that must have been really challenging to be like the face of the thing that like this man is known for and has become such like poison in the fandom, right? In all fandom. Like you think of like various names of people who have really like pissed away their legacy. Joss Whedon might be at the top of the list. Like I would argue that like Chris Hardwick is like not far from that. By the way, the reason that comes to look at this thing I have right here. This was a Christmas gift from my husband, Chris Hardwick. He had a real moment. I forget when at this point, but turns out that not great to work with and was let go from Nerdist for various accusations of bad behavior. It wasn't like sexual assault, but it was, I think, toxic work environment, et cetera, et cetera. And he sort of bounced back, but like I just don't follow you don't support the future projects, right? I think that's the best we can do. And I got to get rid of this, by the way. This thing's been, the reason it's down here is I'm considering selling it or just giving it away. And he was like literally one of my heroes. So was Whedon. Like Whedon was literally my pop culture hero, my number one, my fucking true North Star for the longest time. Chris is
a little interesting because he seems to do well with his individual non-romantic relationships and supporting people, like the giving of the cakes that he does at Christmas time and the going out of his way to take care of people. He seems to fail miserably when it becomes a religious, not religious, well, kind of a religious romantic relationship, because he can't seem to have a romantic relationship that's not involved in his religion. But he seems to have a group of actors that have acted with him and worked with him that seem to think, okay, he's all right in this position. He may suck as a husband and father and stuff like that, but he does well as a colleague and coworker.
Right, the professional version of you versus the personal version of you. And I think that's this all comes to art versus artist. By the way, my connection to Chris Hardwick is actually like tenuous at best, right? I've never met him. I don't know him. I don't know if the allegations are true. He's never been charged with a crime. I want to be very clear about like the truth of the matter. Like Joss Whedon has admitted his shitty behavior and also excused a lot of it for himself. And you can find numerous articles from people who have firsthand accounts of just how terrible he was, including Charisma Carpenter at, the top of that list. The Chris Hardwick thing is actually like a lot harder because at one point he was suspended by AMC, and he used to host The Talking Dead. And I was a licensee of The Walking Dead right as the show was like stopping to become relevant. We picked up that license at tops at like the worst possible time. It was like going into season 5 or whatever, right? And like Walking Dead was sort of losing its luster, but Talking Dead was a giant hit. He had been up and coming on Nerdist and all of that, and the show was still a hit. And then not long after, there were accusations from an ex-girlfriend or something of that if he was abusive or whatever it was, and AMC suspended him, and he's sort of Nerdist, I think, actually like removed him from their board and whatever, or he had to sell. I forget all the details, but again, I want to be clear that he was never charged with a crime or anything was ever proven. I think that there's opposite of like Jonathan Majors, who like literally was convicted, right? Like yes. There's levels to this, and I believe strongly in innocent until proven guilty, and I also believe strongly in like believe allegations when there's seemingly some nugget of truth to it, because a lot of times, especially women, are not believed when they make an accusation against powerful people, and it's a recurring issue, and especially in Hollywood where power dynamics are power dynamics. They get away with a lot, right? We're looking at the movie industry for how long? Miramax Films, yeah, right? Like the Harvey Weinstein of it all. How long did that go on? And how much did Rose McGowan have to scream about it before someone finally believed her, right? And it literally made her crazy. And she's like only recently bounced back from all of that. Like it's really unfortunate and sad. And it speaks to like the state of like the way pop culture was. What I like to hope is that like it's getting better in those various regards, because like I'm not seeing the same amount of nefarious behavior popping up in social media, at least. I don't know. It seems like it's getting better, but I couldn't tell you. I don't live out in California. I'm not in production. I'm barely adjacent to it. But at least on the Star Wars side, like our biggest scandal is like, did the trailer match the movie? I watched a whole ass video yesterday as to like someone sort of dissecting the deleted scenes from Rogue One of what was in the trailer and what was in the final film and how different it was. And I was like, you know what? I'm thankful that is the biggest scandal in Star Wars. Like, I'll tell you now.
I'll take that.
Yeah, please. Considering everything else going on. By the way, that video is fascinating. I forgot to like copy the link, but it was not a Star Wars person. It was like Retro Blasting. Retro Blasting is the channel. They went, when I tell you, scene for scene in every teaser and TV spot and trailer to identify what this original movie looked like. The one that like Gareth Edwards seemingly directed before Tony Gilroy came in and like blew it all up and put it back together. And it's a very different thing. Even takes that are in trailers are a different take is used in the final movie, even if it's the same dialogue. But a lot of it is just not there at all. Like that movie changed so significantly. We got to do a whole video on this guy. So save this for a unifying force or a Thursday night watch along. But like we should literally watch the breakdown of the Rogue One deconstruction. It's wild.
Cool.
Yeah. People will get into that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else do we have to cover in Star Wars news? I feel like it's been light on the news front. It's really been like our own personal news. You know, I was at that convention in Westchester where I got to see all my Clone Wars buddies, which was really cool. It was Pride this weekend. We did our Phineas and Ferb watch along. By the way, for anyone who was disrupted in the flow, this Thursday on the Thursday night watch along, they're doing Light and Magic, not Light, Light and Magic. Season 2, episode 3. So they will close out Light and Magic this Thursday. And then as July really kicks off, you know, because July 4th is this Friday, we're going to get into some of the other adjacent media within Star Wars. So you have to tell us in the chat what you want the boys to watch. What are the spoofs and other things? We discussed possibly doing Spaceballs, which I don't think they've done on the network in a while. So I think that could be a really fun one, especially with a big group. Like imagine 6 or 7 of us watching Spaceballs together. That shit would be a blast.
I just can't get into that movie.
How do you not like Spaceballs?
I don't like Dumber and Dumber.
All right, that's fair. That movie is a lot.
Yeah, my wife loves that slapstick, stupid humor, and she watches that and she'll quote it, and I'll be like, "Yeah, doesn't do it for me." But but I understand it's my thing. It's not my thing. But there's a lot of people that do like it. You guys watch it. I'll be like,
yeah,
have a good time.
We have slices for everyone and Spaceballs. This is why we're going to do adjacent stuff. So the summer plan, as best as I can tell, as I've been working with like Jeff and Dave and Spencer and everyone on what we're going to do this summer, because, you know, we've already watched Andor. We already had May the 4th. We already had Star Wars Celebration. There isn't new Star Wars content coming anytime soon, not until 2026. There's nothing new coming the rest of this year other than the Lego and other animated. Like, yeah, we've got a Lego stuff coming like this.
When's Maul? Maul's
2026. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got Maul, Grogu,
season 2,
and then Starfighter.
Oh, and Ahsoka season 2. So Ahsoka season 2 is supposed to be in 2026 also. Although I could be wrong. Maybe it'll come out like late fall.
26 will be a big Star Wars year.
Oh, 26 is going to be gigantic, and it's going to set the ground for 27, which is going to be enormous. Like for the 50th anniversary and a new movie starring Ryan Gosling, like this brand is going to explode, and it's going to set up the next 50 years. The idea is like the 50th anniversary can't be an end point for people. It needs to be a starting point for new people. Like that's the framework. Like we can't just be celebrating nostalgia for 50 years. Oh, Jeff is right. We're getting new visions too. Yes. So that's why the summer we're using like all of our like free passes to like watch all the weird stuff, right? So recycled Star Wars, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're gonna do visions in September, and then we've got the Lego thing, the Rebuild the Galaxy, coming a little bit later.
And then we've got to do all this traveling.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. And Texas is around the corner, guys. Like we are like basically 5 weeks, 6 weeks out to Texas.
GalaxyCon, get back home, have a week, then go to Texas, then get back here. It's going
to be,
and then find a way to somehow get my ass to Rhode Island Comic Con.
Yes, you have to come along to Rhode Island. And let me tell you, for anyone who's still on the fence, Rebel Scum Con, August 8th to the 10th in Frisco. It's going to be such a blast. Get your tickets at rebelscumconventions.com, and make sure you check us out on Boonta Eve. So Boonta Eve special edition, the Friday night.
Bunta Eve.
Exactly. And in the voice of Anna Graves, Friday, August 8th. So exciting. Here are the ticket details. It's going to be at the Revel, just to make it confusing with Rebel. The Revel Patio Grill, $35 tickets, kids under 12 or 30. The VIPs are sold out, but we still have plenty of general admission tickets. And of course, thank you to our sponsors, VIP.
Do you think I can get a ticket? I don't have a ticket yet.
I think we got one saved for you, even though you don't have to bounce, which will be lovely. Skip's going to get to enjoy the show a little. And the show, of course, is made possible by our fantastic sponsors, our premier sponsors, VIP Home Theaters, based in Chicago. They have an array of consumer products for your home to make your own theater, make your own at-home watching experience feel like a premium luxury theater. So speakers, televisions, chairs, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, they have a showroom in Chicago that eventually we have to find our way to. And thank you to all of our sponsors. We really appreciate everyone who's helping us put on Bunta Eve, which is...
So we have to get her to record that when we're in Dallas. So we.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I mean, that is,
because she's like, when we are here at Bunta Eve, which is going to be very exciting. So yeah, I can't wait to see Anna. So you can meet Anna Graves. We've got to get one graphic with like all of our people. Diana Lianasano is going to be there along with Taylor Gray and Anna Graves and so many fantastic signers. It's going to be such a blast. We need to make one graphic that has everyone on there so we could show it at once with like all the people. I think Jeff and Dave are working on that.
What's going to happen? They're all going to, yeah, I did Virtual Cantina. I was on the VCN.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's going to be a thing between Star Wars actors. Have you ever done the VCN? I did the VCN. It was a great time.
I know. Look, we were having such a blast. Diana was just on Daughters of the Galaxy. Anna Graves was on.
She was excellent.
With Clone Wars. I am working on some other guests. We're trying to do that for the summer too, is bring on some additional guests. So while we're doing our summer of adjacent media and bringing on some guest stars, getting ready for Texas, and then after Texas, we are setting up for 2026, which there's going to be some really exciting stuff coming. And I can't even talk about 2027 yet. So every single time I get a text about 2027, I just want to like slam my phone down because it is.
I made an informal invitation for a interview on Clone Wars Revisited.
Very nice. I have a similar request out. So yeah, hopefully we'll have some news to share on that front. But with that in mind, we should actually get into the episode. So yeah, hello. Before we do that, though, I'm going to look at some of the comments online. So first of all, hi, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us. I actually didn't put up a lot of comments at the start of the show as we were getting going, but want to acknowledge everyone in the room. We've got Spencer here, as always, Sherry, who we love, and will be guest hosting for us at some point this summer. Obviously, Jeff is here. He was actually helping us with some production stuff behind the scenes before we got started. And we're just going to be getting into the actual episode in just a minute. And Dave is here as well. Hey, Dave. I thought Thursday's show was so fun with Phineas and Ferb. I hope we converted some Phineas and Ferb fans in the building. I highly recommend everyone check that out. And yes, Dave, I do need you to isolate Anna's vocals so we can do the Bunta Eve, and I could just push the button every time we have it, so we don't have to have Skip trying to mimic the cadence. I just go like this. Yeah.
Bunta Eve.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, Skip. It is time for you to do what you do best. My favorite part of the show. Skip is going to
see how bad I can butcher this line, but let's bring it. Give it to me, Mark.
Yeah. Where are my slides over here? Okay, so this is tonight's episode that we're watching, The Brain Invaders. All right, here is the description.
Ahsoka and Barriss board a ship harboring a band of infected clones. The young Padawans must stop the infested ship from docking.
Seems pretty straightforward, right? Like this is that image that you pick. All right, so first of all, kudos to Jeff and Dave for finding the most horrifying image in the whole episode. In an episode full of horrifying images, this is terrible.
Barriss with the a brain worm coming out of her mouth.
Yeah, unreal. All right, and here is our moral for the story. Attachment is not compassion, which I don't know. Is that the best moral they've ever gotten? I don't know. That one doesn't really hit me in a big way. So I think we need a little more attachment in the Clone Wars and a little less, especially as Master Luminara is in the mix. I'm happy for her to learn how to attach. All right. I'm going to set the countdown. Everyone cue up your Disney Plus machines. We are obviously in season 2 of the Clone Wars, episode 8. Oh, wait, we just looked at it on the graphic. How did I not clock the number? Yeah. Season 2, episode 8, Brain Invaders. All right, and I'm going to set the countdown and go.
Oh, shit.
Oh, prison.
Oops.
This is what happens. I know, I've done that myself. I'm usually pretty good about having my computer like
turn
muted
one
over
TV
here.
up without turning the other TV up.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, I hear Tommy. I hear generally Yularen or Tom Kane.
Oh shit! Well, that's gonna be funny.
Yep, season 2, episode 8.
Crap. Well, we will be talking about the show without me watching it.
No, you can. Yeah, just gotta set your. Meanwhile, where's my subtitles are being problematic. Look, I've had nothing but tech problems for the past several days. That's why I was so robotic vocoded on Sunday's show. I had a little bit of static. It wasn't great. I actually need to get a new microphone too. That's a whole other thing that we're working on. Meanwhile, Spencer's apologizing about the 2027 calls. But there's been some great progress on that front. I feel like we have plans for 2027, which are always exciting. So we're now trying to figure out, we have some 2026 stuff in the works too. I think Spencer actually teased something on the network about the number of things that are happening in the next couple of years, and it is like super, super exciting. I hate when you go places and they're like, and we're just getting started. And meanwhile, this is like a company that's been in business for like 40 years or some shit. Like I saw it at licensing show every time. And it's like, this is our slate of programs. And we've been the number one this and that for decades in this. And we're just getting started. And I was like, you're not just getting started. You're like finding your groove in this particular thing. But I feel like as a network, we are just getting started. And I almost said it out loud the other day, like very much like not aware of what I was saying. But I think it is accurate. There's so much happening right now. And we had such a successful celebration. We're on the cusp of 100,000 fans, which is amazing. So a lot going on. Oh, that was interesting.
Popular person.
We were bred to follow orders. Is that the start of like good soldiers follow orders?
Okay.
These clones are not looking good. Oh, geez. The way he just moved like an actual lizard was like horrifying. The animation is still pretty good, even though it feels a little bit stiff, you know? Yeah, Jeff, I'm going to put your comment on screen about the 100,000. We are at 98.7 or 98.8. We're really close to the 99. And I know with that, there is a giveaway. Let's see if that graphic is in here about the road to 100,000. I don't think it is. But we've got a great giveaway. There's a Hayden Christian autograph that's going to be given away at random for hitting 99,000 fans. So make sure everyone is inviting people to like the page and all of that. And then when we get to 100,000, there is another giveaway. So yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we've picked up a lot of fans post celebration. I like these little character moments with Barriss and Ahsoka. They have a very believable friendship in this show. Obviously they're the same age. I didn't think
Yeah,
that Barriss Offee was this young. When we saw her in Attack of the Clones or Phantom Menace, I forget where.
yeah.
Like, I think it was Attack of the Clones for the first time.
Attack of the Clones. She was in the Battle of Geonosis.
Yeah, and I think at one point she's like standing in the office with the Emperor too. Like, I have this weird visual of that, or maybe it's Luminara, but they both seem like grown ass women. Like, so I didn't think about Barriss Offee being like a kid, like
A
Ahsoka,
teenager.
until like the Clone Wars, right? So and I feel like it's almost a little bit like a retcon, but there's a really believable relationship between the two of them. This brainworm thing is horrifying. Mm-mm. Enjoying the peace as it lasts. Ugh. Master Windu said we're keepers of the peace, not warriors. Here we go. We're starting to plant like her philosophy, and once the war is over, her job is to keep the peace. But will we do so as keepers of the peace or warriors? And what's the difference? This is amazing. This is an episode of the Unifying Force right here. Snip this. That's interesting. She's talking about Anakin being a man of action.
So it was reflective of the Ahsoka season 1, is what am I? Am I, because I was trained by Anakin, am I this warrior? Or am I a keeper of peace? Is there something more to me than what my master imbued on me?
Yeah. Look, I think that there's so much philosophy to discuss, especially around what role do the Jedi play in the galaxy, right? And what does it mean to be a keeper of the peace? Oh, this is the first attempt at Order 66. This is Order 65 over here. It's not quite fully baked yet. That was very good of Barriss to disable that gun and knock out that stormtrooper. Yeah. It's all very spooky. Yeah, Dave, I need you to get on this. We should have a full-on debate in the realm of like Ahsoka versus Barriss Offee, and or I guess really Luminara versus Anakin on the teachings of the Jedi. I know you have similar things already, so if you think of an episode that's relevant, throw it in the chat. Oh, I like that. They have nice continuity to the start of episode 1. A clone that betrayed them that was working for Ventress. That was the first episode, or the second episode. The first episode where James Marsters, I think, is the clone that betrayed them. From Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Bringing it all back to Whedon. Oh, there's no escape, man.
Circle around. But these, yeah. So the uninfected and the 2 Jedi.
Yeah, Anakin knows something's wrong. I like when they use him as the reference point as to maybe Ahsoka's behavior as a direct response to the way, like pot and kettle.
Well, and it really is cool. I mean, I joked about it earlier, but really they, this show really does play out the fact that she reflects who he is as a Jedi, and she becomes that form of Jedi. And then for her in the Ahsoka live show to go into this really deep, introspective session of will I turn out to be like, look, I'm the warrior that Anakin was. Do I become the monster that he was because I'm just like him? Did I grow up to be him?
Yeah. I always said that like Anakin Skywalker he never actually really became a Jedi. He became strong in the Force and then became a Sith, right?
Yeah.
Ahsoka Tano became the Jedi that Anakin Skywalker should have been. And
Yes.
and so did Luke. Luke and Ahsoka together, I think, form the potential that Anakin Skywalker could have had as like a light side, good, not even not even a Jedi, but like a wielder of the light side of the Force, right? Like a protector of like the original thought of what a Jedi would be outside the dogma of the politics and all that nonsense, right? By the way, Barasafi killed that guy, but very begrudgingly. And I don't want to hold that against her because she tried not to, but she was defending her life. So Barris is still doing all the right things and saying all the right stuff. And hashtag Barris was right, the same way hashtag Magneto was right. And this is really sad to watch because like we're watching innocent clones get killed by this bug. Okay, I want to put up what Dave said over here because I love some good philosophical discussion. This sounds like a very similar discussion to what if Qui-Gon had lived? How would that have affected Anakin's behavior as he became a Jedi? Yeah, I think Anakin Skywalker as like a 9-year-old being trained by Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was barely on the cusp of going from Padawan to Jedi Knight in episode 1, right? Like he really went from he got a significant promotion going from Phantom Menace to Attack of the Clones, and then was put in charge of this boy who we think as the audience watching is so young, but apparently is like too old to be trained in the Force because they need to start you when you're a toddler. Like it's kind of wild. And so Obi-Wan, I never think of as being reckless, but probably by comparison to like the rest of the Order, seemingly so, and Anakin needed a heavier hand. Anakin probably needed to be trained by committee with a lot of Yoda and a lot of Luminara and a lot of other people to restrain his worst instincts, right? Like, and I think that's the thing that they actually failed him on. They didn't identify where his problem areas were to intercept them. The same way they sort of let Luminara and Barriss have too much free reign too. Like you actually needed Luminara to have a counterbalance with someone like an Anakin or an Obi-Wan, and they didn't do that either. So I don't know. The Jedi are a hot mess, and I blame Yoda. I do.
It's all his fault.
He's the CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought that the most effective ploy that Sidious made was going after Ahsoka. That Sidious knew that if Ahsoka was close to Anakin, Anakin would never fall off the path because she was his anchor. And once she was gone, there was no anchor.
Yeah. Well, he was going after everyone close to him, right? They tried to take out Padme multiple times. They went after Ahsoka, and the plot to get Ahsoka. I don't even know if you could say the Emperor had anything to do with Barasafi's turn to the dark side. Like I think that happened organically, and I think that gift fell into his lap, and he knew how to exploit it. Like I think that was one where like the universe sent him that one. The will of the Force was like, girl, Barriss has had it, and he's like, I'm going to use that to my advantage too. But like I think that he did target Obi-Wan, Anakin, everyone around him. They obviously killed his mom, right? Like they did a good job, like taking out his family and his support network and isolating him the way any cult or any abusive partner would do, right?
Yeah.
Like you destroy your support system. It's all very nefarious, but also like incredibly well calculated. And so like brava to like Palpatine for getting it done. And yet, David, imagine Anakin trained by Mace. Those two would burn down the galaxy. They would have red light. We would all be living under the reign of Mace and Anakin right now because they would have had it also. There would be no Palpatine. They would have killed him, but quickly, and they would have taken over.
Imagine if Anakin had gone with Mace to arrest Sidious.
Yeah, it would have gone very differently. Like, I think that he would have, I think that's where the Chancellor would have had to pretend that he was incapable. And then as soon as he killed one of them, I think we've seen Anakin kill for far less. And we're actually going to see my favorite kill scene coming up in the next few episodes. When we get to a little deeper into season 2, I wanted to say it was like episode 12 or 13. we get to the Mandalore plot happening within Clone Wars, and there's one where Duchess Satine is on a spaceship where they're trying to assassinate her and several other senators and other prominent people, and Anakin stabs a guy with a lightsaber from behind while he's like, the guy is holding a detonator, right? That is my favorite Anakin kill because it is like the reddest red flag, but it's also like the correct thing to do. And so it's a really great debate to have as to like how he should have responded in that moment. But I love it. And Anakin made that decision when I don't think others would. I think other people would have like let the bomb go off, honestly, and it would have been a big problem. Oh, here we go. Here comes some great Anakin dark side stuff. Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, Sherry, good call. This is another early red flag of Anakin, and everyone lets it slide. But also, most people only get 1 or 2 examples of it. It's not like Ahsoka saw that, or Padme, or Obi-Wan, or anyone. Like a clone saw that, right? And they're going to be okay with like Master Skywalker kind of doing whatever to win, right? And most people who do get to witness that usually end up dead, or are seemingly unimportant, or they get 1 or 2 examples of it. Yeah. Do love a good force choke.
Yeah, and he was using it significantly long before he became Vader.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, it's Puggle the Lesser. Like, choke him out. Ha! I like that. How did you get him to talk? All matters is that he told me how to stop the worms. Yeah, shut up, Ki-Adi-Mundi. Everyone's favorite plot contrivance from the Acolyte. And Luminara. I'd be like, I'll force choke you next. Like, we're going to get some results over here. Hi, baby boy. I have a cat over here now. Do you want to come up? Yes. Yes, you do. Come on. So this episode is obviously highly inspired by Alien.
Yes.
And I think they do a lovely job with it. It is very scary. If we were doing like our spooky season watch, like this would make the list for sure. All right, I'm going to pull down for a cat. Don't worry, I'm wearing shorts. I always do. Hi, Mr. Hicks is going to be the star of the show. Look at this baby.
Oh, Mr. Hicks, give us your opinion on what you think Anakin's going through at this time.
You love a good alien story. We actually have a stuffed animal face hugger that they love playing with, which is so funny, you know, because they're Ripley and Hicks over here.
I love Kit Fisto. For somebody who's not developed that much, I really do love the character.
Sometimes a good character design is all it takes. Also, I want to say it's Phil Lamar who plays Kit Fisto. Because he does Bail Organa too, but I think they gave him Kit Fisto. The same way James Arnold Taylor does Obi-Wan Kenobi and oh my god, who's the other Jedi that he does? I can't remember now.
Plo Koon?
Plo Koon, yes. I couldn't remember. Mr. Hicks, you just keep he doesn't want to be on camera anymore. There we go.
Plo Koon.
Yes. Oh my god, Chris.
Little Ahsoka.
The cat. And yes, thank you. Yes, thank you for confirming. I was like, I could just Google this real quick. I usually have like the whole cast list open over here, but I'm trying to minimize the amount of tabs that are happening while this is playing because the tech is just not teching. It's not great. Good plan to use the cold to kill the bugs. And the nice thing is we get to save Barriss. You know, she doesn't have to be a casualty.
Yes, because she needs to be used as a tool of the Emperor later on.
That's the thing, though. I feel like he had nothing to do with it. Like, he just capitalized on that moment. But she came to this conclusion from her own experiences, right? And kind of rightfully so. Like, you can argue that maybe she shouldn't have bombed the temple and innocent lives were taken, etc. But, like, at what point does the systems in place prevent the right thing from happening and you have to work outside the system? That's another great philosophical discussion. And it's most civil rights movements don't rely on you asking your oppressors for your rights. Like, you usually have to take to the streets and riot, right? Like, there's actually protests and marches and riots and violence, and like we didn't start the American Revolution by saying, please don't let us pay taxes anymore. We literally went to war, right? So I think that there's reasons that violence ends up pointing in the direction of progressive change. The system in place that exists prevents the change that the establishment wants to see. And you can make the case that like she was wrong, but and she was behaving like a dark side person, obviously, and they tried to make that like very simple black and white. But she's not wrong about the Jedi. Like, the Jedi did lose their way and were aiding in the dark side of it all. But she just decided,
what was it Yoda said?
These guys,
in our arrogance, we rushed to enter the war too soon.
Oh, did we lose Skip? Or did we lose me?
Oh, sorry. No, I'm here. Can you?
You're good? I got you.
Yeah. Yes. No, Yoda says, in our arrogance, we rushed to enter the war. When he was talking to Ezra the second time in the Lothal Jedi Temple.
All right, looks like they found the brain worm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, I like your plan of extra monitors. I have 3 at work, and I've actually thought about adding a 4th. And I would love, and I have 2 monitors here, and I really need a 3rd. When did it get this way? I used to have 1 computer screen, plus I have my phone. So I'm often, if you see me looking down, I'm usually trying to figure something out. Oh, I like this, Sherry. The costuming definitely reflects the characteristics of these two, I think, very clearly. Ahsoka is a little like bearer, right? So she's a little more like hard on her sleeve, literally, a little more brash, a little more kind of like let loose and unscripted. And then Barriss Offee is meant to, I mean, it actually is like, and this is where there's a lot to unpack here. Barriss Offee and Luminara obviously meant to be sort of like coded as Muslim, right? Which is why I think when the bombing episode happened, there was like a lot of controversy around that, because it's like, oh, we have how many Muslim coded characters, and the one we have was the bomber. That's not great. It's not a great look, right? But I think they also, in theory, just lots of very religious groups, Christians, Muslims, and Jews, all cover their head with some type of robes, whether you're a nun or a very more conservative Jewish person or a Muslim woman, right? And there's different flavors to each of that. Or if you're Hindu, right? Like, there's so many different religions where women cover their heads with like a wrap kind of thing, right? So
which
kind
means conservatism.
Exactly. So that was the idea, is like these women are conservative and religious, not necessarily Christian or Jewish or Muslim or Hindu or any other flavor. But the idea is that they're religious and conservative and very educated and very, I guess, by the book, right? Like, that's kind of the distillation there. And yeah, and then Ahsoka is not any of those things. She breaks all the rules, and she wears the tube top. Still functional. It's not, revealing in a way to be sexy, I don't think. I think it just meant to be like, she's a kid. She's kind of like, I'm wearing a tank top now. It's just like, this is the thing for the weather that I'm wearing. Whereas like, it might be like a problem to show your shoulders in a certain culture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. Jeff is right. The majority of the planet covers their head. Yeah, I think like Christian men are the one group that don't. Like, when it comes to religious men, every other like religious group, Jewish men, Muslim men, Hindu men, Sikh men, like everyone's got like a head wrap or a yarmulke or a covering or something. And then Christian men take off their hats when they go to church. It's kind of the opposite. But like, yeah, like most people cover their heads. So I think they're obviously drawn to be religious, regardless of the flavor. And the costuming definitely reflects their characteristics like pretty well. And they're gorgeous too. Like their costume designs are some of my favorite. I love Barriss Offee. Like I think it's such a cool design, and not the makeup. It's the like sort of geometric patterns on their faces.
Yeah, the
Incredible.
little Hindu kind of tattooish type of
Yeah,
work.
it's like a tattoo. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. By the way, love this episode. It is a weird one.
Yes. You know, the
Very
whole worm
strange.
thing gives it that kind of alien vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Markings, yes, Jeff. Thank you. We're struggling for 3 minutes here, and you finally give us markings.
There we go. Markings. Yeah.
What do they call that Hindu kind of markings tattoo?
Oh, that henna tattoo. You usually
henna,
get it on your
that henna
especially
tattoo.
for weddings. Especially
Yeah,
for
it looks like
weddings.
a henna tattoo.
Yeah, that's very cool. I love their designs. I love both those. As you guys know, I love those characters. I talk about them all the time, and I love to hate Master Luminara. Despite the fact that I have admitted many times on this channel that if I were a student at the temple, I would obviously want her to be my master. I would have absolutely been like, I need Master Luminara to be the one to train me. I want to learn everything by the book. I want to study the philosophy, no attachments. I'm going to follow all the rules. And then as I get older, I'm like, oh, I'd rather have Qui-Gon Jinn, who seems like the dude of Star Wars. I feel like he would have been the right master for me. The structure would have been good for me as a kid, but as I got a little bit older, I would have needed a lot more free will and free learning kind of stuff.
I always want to confuse her with Depa.
Depa Billaba, yep, also a good one, who's cousins with Stas Ali, which is something of a retcon to explain why the two characters don't really look exactly the same in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, but they build that arc out in the Clone Wars. So we'll actually see Depa Billaba and Stas Ali in Clone Wars, which is very exciting. I love that we get real characters like in the Clone Wars TV show for what I consider to just be costumes in episodes 2 and 3. There are so many Jedi walking around that are in masks and costumes, and it's cool that they're like credited, and we have Jedi with names, and there's a lot more women and a lot of international actors, which is very cool. But like they don't really get a lot of the story. Like all the heavy lifting is still done by like Anakin, Padme, and Obi-Wan. It's the three of them that really carry the plot, and a little bit from Mace Windu and Yoda. But otherwise, the other Jedi are just like set decor, Yeah. So
accessories.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas in the Clone Wars, they get real stories. Like this story is about Barriss Offee. This story is about Barriss Offee and Ahsoka being Padawans, learning how to survive on their own, using their ingenuity and skills that they've learned from their masters, outsmarting the thing that should have killed them, right? Coordinating with the clones, anticipating problems, talking philosophy in a way that like we're not even at season 5, we're in season 2, and they're laying the groundwork of like what's the philosophical differences between an Ahsoka and a Barriss Offee, and what do they know being teenagers. This is all very heavy stuff, all under the guise of like beautiful animation and pew pew pew. So
well, it's nice that they can tell a story and then lean heavy into the all the little miniature details, the layers of the onion per se.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a well-developed story, not a very it's story, not plot. Because this, at a very easy plot level, it's like, oh, a clone gets infected by a brain worm, and then the brain worm's on a ship with Ahsoka and Barriss. That's the plot. The story is so much deeper and brings up a lot of questions around, because it's coming. This brain worm is going to continue into the next episode. What do we do with this disease? How do you fight this? Anakin going to get the answer, like literally tortured that guy. So we know for a fact law enforcement in this country, and the military and the police included, are not allowed to interrogate you through torture. Anakin chokes out Poggle the Lesser to get to the answer, right? That's another philosophical question of like, should Anakin have done that? If he's really a guardian of the light side of the Force, is he supposed
What's he messing with the dark side all the time so much for?
Yeah, and is it right for him to use that power that most other people don't have access to?
And another sign of the failure of the Jedi not catching this and doing something about it.
I would say that like Luminara and Ki-Adi-Mundi try to take him to task on it, and he dismissed them, and other people didn't back them up. And if I were them, I'd be afraid of Anakin. Like, you could sense it in him. You have to be standing next to Anakin Skywalker and feel the heat, right? He's
if
sort of
you're
the
close
chosen
to him,
one.
you understand the danger and the danger of his power. When you they talk about, well, everybody knew who Anakin was in the Order. Those that didn't have an opportunity to work closely with him and stood a little bit farther back and heard the stories were always in awe of him. But once you got to know him on a close-up, hey, let me use the magnifying glass, oh, shit, this is something that needs to be dealt with. Why isn't anybody dealing with this?
Yeah. Why isn't Yoda dealing with this? Why
Why is
isn't
it Yoda?
Obi-Wan?
Why is it
Obi-Wan
Mace?
lets this shit
Why is
slide
it
too.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah. Obi-Wan, Mace, and Yoda are at the top. I mean, at the top of the failure list is Anakin himself. I don't want to take the blame away from him. Like, he let this happen. His master's
as he
not
says,
particularly good at training him.
I'm not your failure.
Yeah, he says it in the Obi-Wan show, right? Like, he says, I take responsibility for this myself. A little too late. Obi-Wan suffered in silence for how long? But, like,
10
Obi-Wan
years.
does share in the blame. If we're going to start dividing this up like a pie and we're going to start cutting slices, I'm going to give a nice size slice to Obi-Wan, an even bigger slice to Yoda, a little sliver for Mace Windu. There's no failure on Ahsoka's behalf. Like, she feels like she failed him, but she's the only one who didn't. Like, her and Padme, like, really, really tried, and gave him multiple chances to figure out like how to do the right thing, and they were both victims.
Ahsoka did the right thing. She walked away from the Jedi because she realized that it failed.
Yeah,
when they did to her what they did.
He should have left with her. That's the irony. Like, her leaving was not the thing that like broke him or caused him to go dark or
It was
whatever.
actually his attachment to the Jedi.
Yes,
that was not his attachment to Padme or the children or to Ahsoka. It was an attachment to the Jedi because he should have left he should have left the Jedi a long time ago and said, I married her. Sorry, I have to leave you and go take care of her.
He should have packed. So when Ahsoka left, Ahsoka consistently, Jeff, is the only one who ever does the right thing. Her and Padme. Padme is actually kind of the North Star of all things like moral and correct in the Clone Wars. And Ahsoka is like right there with her. When Ahsoka left, Anakin should have also packed his bags. He could have revealed being like, you know what? I've been with Padme now. We've been married for a while. We plan on having kids and starting a family. Good luck to all of you. We're going to the Outer Rim. Maybe we'll take up shop on Tatooine. Like, they could have had a quiet life. And I realize that in some ways it's like abandoning the war. And look, I've never served in the military. I'm sure once you're in a conflict like that, it would be very difficult to just pick up and leave. And especially if you think you have the ability to actually like stop the suffering of others, which Anakin does have that power. But like at some point you have to see that the organization is not getting it done. I mean, Jeff, she was tricked. You know, she's the one who helped transfer powers over to Palpatine, but she was manipulated and abused. And you could sort of say the same for Anakin.
Jar Jar.
Yeah, Jar Jar did it all. Darth Jar Jar. Which that's a whole other thing. I do want to put up this comment from Dave though before we lose it. I think Dave Filoni, I agree, played the long game, and he did have a lot of this planned. Dave is a planner. He would not have introduced a Barasafi this interesting this early on without making a play for something down the line. So weirdly enough, when the temple bombing episode happened, and I don't remember like when someone created the short list of who it could be, and there was a running list. It was like every guest star, because it had to be someone we already met, every villain, every this, and then characters we hadn't seen in a while. There was a list of characters we hadn't seen in a while, and Barasafi was on that list, and then she was suddenly in the next episode. People pieced it together really quickly that it was going to be her, because like all of a sudden she appears in the next episode to be at the funeral, and her and Ahsoka are talking. And there was just something about that, like if she had appeared a few episodes prior, and then the bombing happened, it would have actually been less suspicious. But yeah, I thought it was so well done, and I love Dave for that.
Yeah, I think everything about this show is well done, except for season 1. No, just kidding.
Season 1 is a little rough. But it's definitely getting better. I mean, we talked a lot of stuff tonight. We got into some heavier stuff than we originally planned on.
It was a great episode to delve deep into the conversion of Anakin.
Yeah, we're starting to see it, man.
And with the pieces that got into place, I mean, Barriss was actually a very key piece, and the comparison of Barriss and Ahsoka and Anakin and
Luminar.
Gosh, why can I never say her name?
Luminar.
Like the old Chevy car.
Yep.
The Luminar.
The Lumina. We talked about Illumina earlier too. Yeah.
Lumina.
Lumina,
R in
Luminara
there,
and
it's
Illumina.
Luminara.
Someone's got to draw that for me. Yeah. How did we never? We owned the Lumina before Luminara existed, but that would have been the time to name the car the Luminara.
Yes.
I love everything about that. Luminar versus Anakin as the philosophical differences, and then how that plays out with Ahsoka and Barriss.
This episode was a critical piece of the puzzle, putting it all together.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you are going to actually do a must-watch episode list of like the Clone Wars, like it might not be this one, but it's something from this arc or a summary of this arc, because you need to understand Barriss Offee before she bombs the temple. And you need to understand her relationship with Ahsoka. I actually think the one I missed, where they're trapped in the mines together, is the one. And it's one of my all-time favorites too. It is on the must list for as we get into Ahsoka season 2. Once we find out when Ahsoka season 2 is coming back, and I've heard rumors of fall, winter, and spring. So anywhere from like fall of this year to spring of next year. I think like we will do a run-up to Ahsoka season 2 by rewatching Ahsoka season 1, and maybe even some like best of moments from like the Clone Wars or something. So we'll do something in that regard, and we will certainly tackle the topic of Barriss Offee, who might be my favorite individual character in all of Clone Wars. The more I think about it, I just love her so much. Yeah. Oh yeah. Chris, my parents used to own a Lumina. It came up because we were talking about F1, and then I talked about how I used to watch Days of Thunder as a kid, and I loved it. And the car in that movie is a Lumina, which it's got to be 30 years old at this point. I'm not a gearhead by any sense. Like I've owned mostly Chevys, so they're not my gig. But Luminara the Lumina is going to be a thing now. All right, coming up on the network this week. Join us tomorrow for happy hour, like we do every Tuesday on Zoom. Time. Yeah, I have another commitment. I'm never on these Tuesdays. It's always
You're never on Tuesdays.
I know, it's really.
You make it sound like, I just can't make it this time, please.
No, it's never. I'm like never.
Yes.
You know, it is. By the time I get done, it is probably on most Tuesdays like 9:00. And so at that point, I just don't have it in me.
You do realize you should come, because at 9:00 they're still going strong. The California crowd are all there.
You know what's going to happen though? I will sit here like this and just, and not participate in a meaningful way and feel like a jerk by doing so.
That's what I do.
I will try to do that, not this week, but next week post 4th of July, because I have a lot going on this week that needs to get done before we leave for Baltimore. We're going out of town for 4th of July just to enjoy a long weekend with friends. And so, it's a short week this week. Happy 4th, everyone. Hope everyone has a lovely barbecue, cookout, etc. on the 4th. This week, though, on the network, I'm pulling up my tab over here for everything. We've got a Nerf Herder Council episode. I fully forgot what they were talking about because
Daughters of the Galaxy.
No. We've got a
Nerf Herder.
Yeah.
Nerf Herder.
Hold on. I'm pulling up.
And who's on Sunday?
Well, I'm pulling up the graphics. So the Nerf Herders are talking about. They're doing Independence Day, which makes a lot of sense. And then on Thursday, we're doing Light and Magic Season 2, Episode 3. And then on Sunday, we've got the Jedi Archives. And then, of course, it's 4th of July weekend, so we hope everyone has a fantastic week. Once we get back from 4th of July, you can expect some additional programming hitting the network in the short term as we get ready for Rebel Scum Con and the meetup for SDCC. So be on the lookout. And of course, on the Thursday night watch-alongs, more spoofs and adjacent media. We talked about potentially watching that 70s show or an episode of The Goldbergs, Family Guy. Pinky and the Brain has a Star Wars special. I mean, I can't imagine. Like, I can't believe I haven't seen it. Yeah, Pinky is. Pinky and the.
We're gonna take over the world.
You missed it on. You gotta watch Thursday night's episode of the Watch Along. We talked about them extensively when we were watching Phineas and Ferb. So there's a lot of great stuff out there that we are looking into now. And of course, we are also looking for some guest hosts for Clone Wars Revisited and for the Thursday night Watch Along coming up through July and August, especially as we get ready for Boonta Eve, Rebel Scum Con, and San Diego Comic-Con with all the travels and everything. So if anyone would like to jump in and co-host with our crew, please let me know. Send me a message personally on Facebook, and we will make it happen. I think that's everything. Oh, next episode of Unifying Force. Hold on. From Dave will be old man yelling at clouds about the new Superman movie. I hope it is better than the trailers. Look, Dave, you and I will have a discussion about this, but I'm telling you now it's going to be good. So I'm very, very excited about the Superman movie. Yes, and please give us your suggestions to Jeff and Dave and Spencer, I guess, about what you want to see.
The spoof shows.
The spoofs, the adjacent media, the tribute episodes, the very special Star Wars episodes of it all. We have to do that 70s show. Like, I feel like that one's a must-do. The Goldbergs one is a must-do. I need to watch Pinky and the Brain myself. Just like, I've got to watch that. That's so funny. Like, I love
How many
Pinky
episodes
and the Brain.
of Big Bang Theory can you knock out in there?
We could probably do one of those too. I like the idea of Big Bang, the one where James Earl Jones is a guest star with Carrie Fisher. That's a great one.
Since they're both gone.
Yeah. Oh boy, Sherry. There was so much discourse about the costume. I'm so glad they went with the trunks though, because I do think it makes it like just silly enough. Like, this universe has to feel grounded, but also just fantastical enough. And I honestly think the red underwear makes like all the difference. Yeah, we're not going to do the moment in Friends, Jeff. All right. I think that's everything for this week. Thank you everyone for joining us. Make sure you follow everyone on all the other shows on the network, and keep up for all the news related to Rebel ScumCon. And of course, we will see you next week for I think the wrap up of this brainworm arc. Finally, it's a lot here on Clone Wars Revisited next Monday.
Gonna be a good end of the arc. I'm looking forward to getting on to something new too.
Yeah. It's a lot of the same characters, which I love this arc, but I'm ready to go to Mandalore and I'm ready to see some bounty hunters. So
I'm always ready to be on Mandalore.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. We will see you next week. As always, long live the Republic.
Hello there. Hi, I'm Mark Connell, I'm the Director of Programming at the Virtual Cantina Network, and I'm here with James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes, I know that one well. I have the high ground if I... Wait, yes. Thank you. Now I have the high ground. And you are watching Clone Wars Revisited. This is the show you're looking for.